Famed columnist John McClain Tuesdays with us on 365 Sports. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, and I'm David Smoke in our beautiful studio off of I-35 in Waco. John, we were just talking to Bob Thompson, former Fox Sports CEO executive, and all the money generated, the monstrous power that the NFL has with the TV deals and more. And he said there's two reasons: gambling and fantasy football. It's amazing. Is it amazing to you? Did you see this building to where they now have all the largest TV deals in America?
David, nobody could have envisioned where the money is. The NFL has been the most popular sport for a long time. And fantasy football was a godsend for them, even when they frowned on gambling. And I mean, boy, if you couldn't even spell gambling, much less let the word come out of your mouth. But fantasy football, they saw what an enormous popularity it had become, and also how it brought in a lot of fans who were not diehards, especially women who played fantasy football as well, got in office pools. So they saw that, and then of course the courts let them open up to gambling. And the fact, and I think I've talked to you guys about this, the reason they're going around the world to play games now, of course they want to spread the brand, but mainly because of gambling, because all the countries where they're playing, they've had gambling for so many decades, it's second nature to them. And so they think that people overseas are going to want to gamble on NFL games once they get a taste of it. It's the reason they're going to Brazil. They will be going to Paris. They're talking about going to India and China, and it's coming because it just adds more money into the bank accounts. And also, you put a game on, you could put a game on any of the streaming services, and they go worldwide. So you can imagine how many eyes, if you like the NFL, if you've got a taste of it, and you say, okay, I've got Netflix, why don't I check this game out? And you're in another country, and you maybe kept up with a little bit when you were in Sao Paulo. And so all of a sudden they'll be promoting it down there. So it's great for the streaming services, of course, here, but more so in other countries.
John, Nico Collins gets an extension from the Texans. I'll just throw this on the pile of leaves falling for Jerry Jones, although, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is going to exceed that anyway. But Nico Collins exploded last year when he finally had a quarterback that could get the ball to him. And this seems like a pretty palatable deal, short term, 3 years, $75 million maximum. What are your thoughts on it?
Paul, Nick Caserio traded back into the third round to get him 3 years ago. And he flashed his first 2 years. He's 6'4", and he's about 220. And he's really strong, which is one reason he's so good on slant routes, breaking tackles. I think he was second in the league in 25-plus yards per catch for the season. He had 80 catches, almost 1,300 yards, averaged 16.2 and 8 touchdowns. And when Tank Dell went out, people thought, okay, they're going to double him all the time. And he was even better. And he and CJ Stroud had a special rapport, and he's a really good guy, and he's worked hard. And when you do an extension like this, it sends a message to the rest of the players. If you come in here and you work hard and you produce on the field and you don't do anything to embarrass the organization, you're a good culture fit, you got a chance to be paid. If not here, then by somebody else. So that's a great message for everybody in an organization, not just the Texans, but anywhere. And I'll say this based on everything that the Texans have done in the offseason. That's a team that has been all in.
I was going to ask you that, John. I was going to say, has there been anything they haven't done to better surround their best players, C.J. Stroud, whoever, the defense? Is there anything they haven't done or addressed this offseason?
Well, Craig, one of the things they wanted to do is when you're playing a first-place schedule against 5 division champions, your crossover game instead of Arizona here, like last season, is at Arlington and prime time. and you got 11 games against teams that had winning records, and you play quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Tua Tagovailoa, Jordan Love. It's almost endless. Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy, if he's playing by then, Drake May. So they signed 14 defensive free agents, including 5 cornerbacks. They re-signed 4 of their defensive players, and then they drafted 5 of 9 on defense. So they know they're going to have to get better on defense because they're going to get bombarded by those quarterbacks in what could be very big games.
John McClain with us, again, Hall of Fame columnist on 365 Sports. John, what is right now with that lull before the storm when it comes to the NFL and eventually workouts are going on and then training camp? Is there one specific story that is the largest one right now in the NFL?
Let me tell you one that's close to home about the Texans. And very few people, unless you keep up with the Texans, would realize this. They have every position starters set on offense. Now, DeMeco Ryans will never admit that. He says, we want competition. But they do, except for one, left guard. It would be an amazing success story if Kenyon Green, number 1 pick 2 years ago from Texas A&M, Houston native, grew up here, started 14 games as a rookie, got overwhelmed physically in this last season, and got a lot of criticism. Well, now he's worked his tail off to come back. If he could solidify left guard like they thought he would when they drafted him 16th overall, that would be so important for this team and, of course, important for him as well. And as far as nationally, gosh, there's so many great stories. I am intrigued. I'm not a big fan of Aaron Rodgers as a person, but I'm a big fan of him as a player. And I participated in the thing today about can he, when he's turning 41, regain the magic? And I said, absolutely. It's not like he got used up last year. He's got a lot to prove. The last time he had a lot to prove was after they drafted Jordan Love. He's won 2 MVP awards. And I think he'll be an MVP candidate here. So I never get enough of Rodgers and the Jets.
John, did the Jets do enough offensive line-wise and all that to make him that? I mean, wide receivers looks like, Garrett Wilson could be a star. Is it basically just the quarterback that they were missing?
No. Breece Hall was coming off that torn ACL, and guys are usually better, 100% mentally back, and I expect big things from Breece Hall in his second year back from the torn ACL. A guy that might be a candidate for Rookie of the Year, Malachi Corley, a wide receiver, and they signed 2 veteran offensive linemen, and they used their number 1 pick on an offensive lineman, and they didn't run out and sign a bunch of Rodgers' buddies, although there's still plenty of time because there's several of them out of work. And then, of course, they got a really good defense. That division, with the exception of the Patriots, is going to be outstanding. The best defense, the best division, of course, is AFC North. All have winning records. If you got to pick a team that's going to go from last to first, it's a no-brainer. The Bengals, now that Joe Burrow's 100%.
Thank you, John. Great to always
Thank
have
you, guys. Second Bears.
There's John McClain, 365 Sports on most Tuesdays.